The concept for EPARTRADE is basically, in my opinion, there's a big hole in the internet. So the internet started many years ago, but there's never been an online business community for racers on the World Wide Web. The need for EPARTRADE is actually quite obvious. Basically, people in the business of auto racing need a place online to hang out and get their problems solved.
It's extremely simple for a buyer or for a supplier to interact on the platform. The first thing you need to do is sign in, which is free. And the second thing is, when you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information. If it's a company, you click on request more information, and then from there, it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
You can go to epartrade.com, you become part of a community of businesses in racing, and it makes sourcing products much easier than just on the internet or using Google.
At EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier through an email.
More than that, it's a place to go just to keep current every day. So it's a good place to start your workday in your racing business or in your offices of your professional race team. And you know you're current when it comes to new technology, industry news, technical papers, technical videos, all of that and more. We're not looking for a million hits per day. All we want is people who are really the volume buyers of racing products in the racing industry to be part of the little world of EPARTRADE. We have racing businesses participating from around the world. So you get suppliers from around the world, you get buyers from around the world.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Good morning from California and welcome to Race Industry Now, the technical and business webinar series from EPARTRADE, presented to you by ARP and Performance Plus Global Logistics. I am Francisque Savignan, the founder and CEO of EPARTRADE, the global platform for the performance and racing industry. This is episode 223, and we're going to be talking racetrack safety with a company called TECPRO Barriers. I had the great privilege of meeting Rafael, the founder of that company 20-something years ago, and they have revolutionized the way racetrack safety has been developed over the years. So we're delighted to have Rafael and Eric with us today. So with me this morning are Judy King, the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and our terrific host, Mr. Jeff Hammond. Judy?
Well, thank you, Francisque. And today is going to be exciting because, yes, we have covered safety before on our webinars, but today's the first one directed to tracks. So it's exciting to see how many companies, racetracks, and sanctioning bodies that actually registered for today's webinar. So on to Jeff Hammond.
Well, actually, it looks like we lost Jeff. No, Jeff is back on. Okay, we had a little moment of fear. Jeff, you're back.
Progress.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here. I also had a blip. Throw the caution. But yes, Judy, I heard what you said about, safety and how important it is. And yes, we try to keep up with that when it comes to EPARTRADE. We understand without the drivers being protected, without the fans being protected, we have no high performance racing going on around the world. So again, I'm glad we're going to take a look at, I guess, what I would consider a very innovative product. I know it's been around for a while. I like what I'm seeing here, and I'm very interested to see what they have to share and to show today on our webinar.
Excellent. So on to you, Jeff.
All right. Good morning, sir. I'm Jeff Hammond. How you doing, Raphael?
Yeah, fine. Hello.
Hello. How you doing today?
Very good. Just my English is so bad, but I try speaking English.
You go right ahead. I understand you fine. And you got to remember, I'm a Southern redneck, and sometimes people don't quite understand me. And hopefully you can pick up what I'm saying, and I'll be listening very attentively for what you're saying. Deal?
Okay.
All right. So tell us about TECPRO. I mean, again, I was looking and when seeing what's your website has to offer and everything. So tell me the stuff that I don't know.
maybe Eric answer better in English American to me. You see, Eric?
Yeah. I hear you. I see you.
Good morning. Good morning, Jeff. And good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, Eric.
Yes, so to answer your question, first of all, thank you for inviting us and having the privilege to be with you today. TECPRO is a company based initially in France and was created 20 plus years ago by Raphael, just because there was a lack of dedicated product for safety on tracks, initially on go-kart tracks, and then as the product gave us some good results and spectacular results, Raphael decided to try to extend the quality of the results we were getting on go-kart track to the racetracks. That's mainly how it started, and that's a short resume of the history of TECPRO.
So guys, understanding, the simple beginning, and I guess the realization, if you can protect go-kart racers, why can't you protect the big guys? Is that what I'm thinking about here? Because again, everybody understands, if you've ever gone to a go-kart track, I'm sure internationally, but especially here in the United States, everybody's always concerned about somebody driving underneath, and I use the term very loosely, a guardrail or a barrier that they think will protect the driver and also protect the viewers or anybody that's standing around there watching. But sometimes that's not always been the case, from board fences to tire barriers to regular guardrail, like you run up down on a highway. We learned very quickly that that's not the best, especially for go-kart racers, because they don't really have a lot of protection before you get to the driver.
Yes, absolutely. As you said, Jeff, there was many different ways to protect, or I would say to protect and define the track. We are on the side to protect the drivers, the cars, and the public, the audience. So we are mostly on the car tracks, acting on the curves, where we might have a crash. It means that we're gonna be before the wall or before the guardrail. So we're gonna interact with the walls and the guardrail if an impact happens in our barriers. On the go-kart side, we can do the whole track. Basically, what we do, we create a safety belt all around the track, defining the inside line and the outside line.
Okay.
That's basically how we work.
If I try continue, when
Go ahead.
finish is the job of TECPRO is we don't want to stop the car before the impact, because this is practically impossible. Our job is I reduce the energy of the car before the car arrives to the impact, guardrail, concrete wall, everything for the car. For go-kart is different, because behind the barrier you don't have a fence. It's only in the pit lane you have a concrete wall. In the go-kart is on the grass or in indoor is different. But for the car, our job is I reduce the energy of the car before the impact, and the TECPRO barrier reduce the energy of the car more than 40%. It's like when the car arrives, I don't know in miles, it's 200 kilometers per hour, and he crashed in the barrier. When the car arrives in the concrete, after pressure the barrier, the velocity is 50% less.
Okay.
And we make a different configuration of the barrier, like 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, like some protection with tires, double 6-pack, triple 6-pack, everything. And the more in the crash test, we arrive more than 200 kilometers per hour. And the FIA and the regulation writing, the driver is safe in the crash in 19 degrees, the best crash. But our job is reduce the energy.
So how did you guys come up, or Raphael, how did you come up with the material that you use for doing this, and how did you come up with the design that allows this to occur? Understanding it's all about depreciation of the speed. I mean, it's slowing, not stopping. I mean, because we can all put a concrete barrier or a steel barrier and stop a vehicle immediately. But the problem is all that energy is then transferred into the driver. So you've got to have a compromise to where you're not only protecting the people on the outside, you're also trying to protect the driver who is inside. So it's got to work hand in hand.
Yeah. If I understand the question is,
how did you come up with the way that you do this, deceleration, absorption?
When you crash on the concrete wall, your energy is only one way. When you crash in the safety barrier, your energy is only one way. If I put one TECPRO barrier in front of any block, concrete or guardrail, when you push the barrier, your energy goes right and left.
Okay.
No go in straight way. And this is the system is I dissipate the energy to the right and to the left. When you push the barrier, your energy no go on straight, go like this. Because I pull weight on the car every centimeter.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, I speak good or no?
I mean, I know what you're talking about, so for me it's clear. So basically, the thing is that when you're impacting a TECPRO barrier, it's not only one barrier that is reacting, but it's a complete line. What Raphael is explaining is that all the barriers are connected with straps. Those straps for the car barrier, for example, we have 3 straps going through all the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Those straps are under tension with a tension system. And when you hit one barrier, it's not just that barrier that you hit that is reacting. Because of the straps, everything is connecting. So as much as you're moving the barriers towards the wall because of your impact, as much weight we are adding in the line you're moving. Meaning that basically one TECPRO barrier is 250 pounds. So you're gonna impact those 250-pound barrier with a car that weighs 3 tons, 2 tons, whatever. So the difference in between the weight of the barrier and the energy of the car is way, way more on the car than on the barrier. But instantly, you're adding 500 pounds because you're moving the 2 barriers on the side of the one you just hit. And then immediately 500 pounds more and 500 pounds more because you're moving the whole line. So as Raphael explained, instead of having just one barrier taking all the energy of the impact, that energy goes into the straps sideways, moving the whole line. That's why when you see videos of crash, when you have a car impacting the TECPRO, you can see barriers like 100 feet away moving just because of that. And the energy of the car goes not only on the one that was impacted, but also on the ones 100 feet away on the left and the right. So that's the concept. And we are getting as much energy out of the car before the car goes to the solid impact. which solid impact, as your race driver, Jeff, you know that that's the moment when you're gonna suffer and feel the impact really. So as much speed and energy we can get out of your car before getting to solid, as less damage your car is gonna get, and you as the driver are gonna feel.
So what you've been able to do, you've been able to dissipate that energy, that thing, all of a sudden, your barrier becomes an energy absorbing barrier, not really I will call a hard wall or a hard stop. It absorbs and dissipates as you go along.
Absolutely.
So if you're coming in there straight, doesn't matter. If you come in and make a glancing blow, it doesn't matter. You know, depending on the angle of the vehicle or the number of vehicles, it still is going to move and dissipate energy as they all come in contact with the safer barrier or with your barrier.
Absolutely.
And this in any angle.
Any
Of
angle.
If you have angle 19, but if you have angle 30, it's the same. We have a crash in Brazil with Olivier Pla and crash more 200 kilometers per hour with an impact like a 30% angle. But he moved all the barriers. It's like the energy continue right and left.
Okay, what is the tell me about some of your latest innovations with the TECPRO Barrier. Anyways, you recently come up with something new, or you have something that you're thinking about you're going to be implementing in the near future? What about that concern, or that, not say concern, that process? What are you doing as far as anything current?
Eric?
Yes. So
developing new technology.
Okay. So we, I would say recently in the racing time, means from 2016, sorry, we changed a little bit the shape of the metallic tunnel that we have inside the barrier. Means that because we need also to adapt the barrier to the shape of the nose of the Formula One car.
Okay.
So that nose, with the change of regulation, goes from nose up, that was the old version of the cars, to nose down. So what was changing on that is that when you get nose down like the cars are designed now, the energy of the impact started with the very bottom of the barriers. So to avoid going underneath the barrier, we changed the shape of the metallic tunnel, giving an angle on the bottom of that shape. So when the nose impacts the barrier, it automatically goes up and avoid as much as possible to go underneath the barrier.
Okay. So
to get to that point, it's been a long process that we've been through with FIA, and DECRA has the company doing all the crash.
Eric? Hello, Mexico. Eric is in Mexico. Yeah, I try finish to explain.
Yeah.
We change how system. The system is all time the same, but we change different configuration because after experience in the reality crash. Example, we changed the famous tunnel inside after the crash, Carlos Sainz in Sochi, maybe 5 years ago. And because it's so easy for the car go under the barrier. And we change and we put one like a ramp like this in the low of the barrier. And when the car arrives, the car jump this way. You know, when you arrive with one car or 1 ton and you drive more than 100 kilometers per hour, any one store in the floor or anything move the direction of your car. It's very easy. And we put on just one ramp like this. And when the car arrives, the direction of the car go a little up, not too much, just a little. And after we have the sling very strong inside, and the car arrive up to the first sling. And after the changing, this is with collaboration with DECRA. Maybe you know DECRA is a Germany company for crash test. Okay. And we make some crash tests for arrive the angle, and after until now, we don't have a car go under the barrier. In Formula One, in GT, in motorbike, in any crash, no? Because now our experience is the crash in the world, the reality crash, or in the barrier. And every time after one crash, we take the software of the car or of the crash for analyze the angle and the barrier. The barrier is too much damage, and I think the next changing of the barrier is the plastic, because if you know the crash now, the car have too much carbon, you know, many, and this cut the barrier like a knife, like a knife or cutter, no? And yeah. And now we have okay, one track like Austin in Kota, in Austin, the crash is different because the barrier is far away and the car arrive in the barrier after long cruise runoff or asphalt or sand. But now we have too many city race. In America, you have too many city race in IndyCar, in Champs, yeah, in the buggy, and maybe the next step is changing the plastic for no cut too much immediately.
Okay, with that being said, when you have a heavy impact, do you have to, does a barrier withstand it well enough to where you can continue to use it during that event, or do you need to replace it immediately? And if so, how hard is it to replace?
Yeah, if the crash is very strong and the barrier is destroyed, we need to change the barrier. Mm-hmm. That okay, the TECPRO team changed one barrier in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
If the crash is very strong, generally you have a red flag. And okay, red flag in F1 or maybe in IndyCar is the same, is minimum is 20-30 minutes. Because red flag is all the car go pit and maybe change later, and the process for the race direction is 20-30 minutes. In 20-30 minutes, we change the barrier very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, no problem. And if the crash is very small and simple, you have a many crash, just touch the barrier and make one small screw. This is no problem. We put one duct tape and continue the race. And maybe after the race day, we change the barrier. But we change the barrier really when the crash is so big, and maybe you have a 1, 2, or 3 car broken, and like last time Formula 2 in Baku, Azerbaijan, the F2 is 3 car crash on the barrier. Of course, the one barrier is destroyed complete. But if the team is okay, change the barrier in 10-15 minutes. In Monaco, after the crash of Mike Schumacher, the son, Eric changed the barrier with the team in maybe maximum 20 minutes.
So it's a pretty user-friendly product when it comes to the racetrack itself. When, number one, I guess the other thing is, what kind of cost are we talking about when you try, if you want to put in one of your systems and you pick a track? I mean, that might, a mile-long circuit or 2-mile-long circuit. What kind of cost, per unit are we talking about?
The cost for one circuit, So
Yeah.
I don't listen complete.
Okay. What kind of price are we talking about if we're trying to do your system? Can you give me an example and maybe a track that, you know, has got your system, and what kind of cost are we talking about as far as trying to put it in and then maintain it?
Eric, aide-moi. The price for the complete track, or the price of one barrier?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you pick a track and tell us what track you've done, and welcome back. Glad you're with us.
Sorry for that.
I mean, I know you wanted to get a cup of coffee, but I would like to have one too. Okay, you took a coffee break. But Eric, what I was trying to get Raphael to understand is, like, give me some idea of the cost if you're going into and I own a track and I want to, bring your system in. What would we need to do?
Okay, so the cost can be way different in between tracks. Why? First reason is that depending on the size of the track and the number of corners on track, depending on the speed, we can start from Tech 1, which is the smallest protection, up to Tech 4++, which is what we install in case of the highest impact speed. So to give you roughly an idea, I would say installation can start from, if we do like 1 or 2 corner, $50,000 to $100,000, up to several millions of dollars, depending on how many barriers we're going to need, how long it's a track, what kind of car are you going to race on that track. Because if you are a grade 3 track, you doesn't need as much barriers as a grade 1, which is the highest level of safety, because it's going to be the highest speed for the cars. So it depends, but we can start from $50,000 up to a couple of millions.
When we're doing this, you talk about the different level of tracks.
Yeah.
Can you rank them as far as Formula One versus a stock car, or what would that be? I mean, like I say,
it's not only Formula One. Now we equipped many private track and small track, because of course the people go drive a Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, or normal car and don't want to die. Don't want to damage too much. Don't want to go hospital. And we have many customers now with the private track, like Concours Club in Miami, or the next in Tokyo, or one in Morocco. Now the protection is not only for F1 or for Champs Car or for very big race. Is the small race is more democratic. No, is because all people go on the track with expensive cars sometimes, and or like too much, or historic car, and of course, if the protection is like 40% more, less damage for the car and the driver, of course the people like more. If you crash and you destroy all your car, you're not happy. And if you destroy your body, it's not happy. But for back to the price, I think for one idea is like $1,500, $2,000 per meter, every 3 feet.
Okay.
This is for one idea, but of course every track is different, and some track like Austin is 7,000 barrier, and Miami is only 3,000 barrier, and different configuration. No.
Is your product? Let me just say, if I own a couple of racetracks, could I buy barriers from you and be able to run them at one racetrack and maybe in a spring race? And then could I turn around and relocate them at another racetrack in the fall if I wanted to do that? Or is this something that when you put the system in, is it portable, or is it something that's more of a permanent deal as far as the system's concerned? You understand what I'm saying, Eric? I mean,
yes.
could you move this from different locations?
Absolutely.
You could?
Yes, we can do that easily just because the barriers are easy to move and to install. That's basically what we are doing worldwide with the Formula E Championship, meaning that Formula E has its own set of barrier. And as they're racing in downtown New York, London, Monaco, we're going to we've been to Jakarta, we're going to Seoul next summer. So the barriers are moved by the organization of Formula E. As they move the car, they move all the system, everything is moved together. So every time we reinstall the same barriers in London and Berlin, for example, or Rome. So they are packed.
Or Miami.
Yeah, they are packed into trailers and moved to the next race. So yes, absolutely. We can, I mean, with one set of barrier, we can cover several races.
Okay, well, again, that's great information. We've got some questions for you guys. I don't want to skip over before we get too far along. There's a lot of short tracks in the US with solid concrete walls and bad fencing. Is your product adaptable to short tracks or to drag strips?
Yes, the answer is yes. As long as we have to stop a car and protect the drivers and the cars, yes, we can do that. It can be drag strip, it can be short track, it can be stock car, it can be Formula car. It's the same. For us, the most difficult cars to stop just because of the size of the impact area, it's a Formula car front impact, because all the energy goes in just the nose of the car. For example, a stock car, it's way easier to stop because the impact, it's way bigger because of the size of the car.
Gentlemen, I got one here. Since I do not get an opportunity to watch a lot of racing from Europe, we got a question here wanting to get the comment or your opinion on the crash from the Zandvoort F1 circuit, in which the Formula Renault regionals, one of the cars went high over top of the barrier. No one was hurt, but is there an explanation for why this occurred?
Honestly, I don't know what crash you're talking about for Formula Renault.
Yeah, I don't either. I just
so difficult to answer.
Asked the question, so I can't comment on any more than that. Appreciate your question, but we'll just have to.
Honestly, we can talk about if you want to talk about the crash of Mick Schumacher in Monaco during the race, and the way the barrier reacts. You were talking about replacing when I came back after it broke up. You were talking about replacing the barrier and the time needed.
Yeah, just we're trying to get an idea of how easy to repair, because I mean most of the and again I'm using the term very loosely, whether it's an F1 wall or if it's a safer barrier in NASCAR, if they sustain bad damage, how hard is it to replace and get it back where you can get continue to race with your product, with the way the strap design is and everything is, and Raphael was explaining that if it's minor, you can look at it, put duct tape on it and keep on racing. If
Absolutely.
not, you can change out a barrier. He said roughly 10 minutes. And he said with a lot of times when they stop the action, it's going to take 20 minutes or a half hour to get going. So pretty much they can replace whatever's necessary in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, so definitely, first of all, we are way quicker to reinstall than what tire could be. For example, in Monaco, when Mick Schumacher had the crash, it took us 10 minutes to turn the barrier in its place and give the go to the race director that the track was safe again, and he can restart start the procedure for restarting the race. It's very rare when we have to change the barrier. It's really something that happens very few times.
Yeah.
But the way as everything is strapped together, when you pull on one side, it's easy to relocate the whole barrier pretty quickly, just because everything is strapped together. So it makes it easier, and we need less trucks, forklift, crane, whatever to do it. So based on that, it's quicker than any other kind of a barrier.
Okay. With that being said, there, Raphael, what's the durability and the longevity of the product? I mean, if it's sitting out at a racetrack, is it got a life expectancy as far as weather is concerned, or anything like that?
Traduis-moi, Eric.
La durée de vie des barrières.
All your life before the crash. Just we have some problem with the plastic. Every time is the plastic, the little problem. In country like Texas or like Saudi Arabia, because the night is very fresh and the day is very hot. And sometimes the plastic move little, but the system working all time same. We have a barrier in Russia, we have a barrier in America, we have a barrier in Asia, we have a barrier in Middle East, and all the barrier is in place after the more all the barrier is 18 years in Abu Dhabi. And of course, maybe change 10% of the track, but is in 16 years.
Very durable, then. That's what I mean. It's a very durable product.
Yes,
Yeah,
basically.
Okay. Rich Torme wanted to know, once again, do you replace just that one barrier in a hard hit, or do you wind up replacing the entire road, because of the absorption?
Just the barrier that is broken. Just one or two, depending on how the crash was. But even if the whole line moved, there's no problem about the other ones. So we just replace the one that are completely damaged. So it can be just one. Most of the time it's in between 1 and 2.
So gentlemen, from what I'm hearing from you, you guys have got your product, TECPRO, in pretty much every major country in the world. You said Abu Dhabi and everything like that. So you have a lot of your product around the world.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mexico. Now all the country, Australia. Yes, maybe America is the next big market, because now America changed mentality. Don't want to damage too much the car, the driver, because have a big job in America for the safety.
I'm glad you brought this up, because I know recently there's been a lot of talk about street racing in this country, and going to someplace like Chicago and racing stock cars. Do these almost 4,000-pound cars present a problem for TECPRO barriers?
Not at all. Absolutely not. And we can do better. We can do better than any other kind of safety barrier. So street races for us, I would say it's the easier market for us in terms of what we can bring in terms of safety and space dedicated to safety, because we know that, street race, it's also about the width of the track. So as we are using less space to give more safety than any other kind of barrier, we are giving more track space for the drivers.
And
Okay.
pas une question, mais une utilité. You talk about the city race or no permanent track. And one very important thing for city race or no permanent track is for the constructor company, because it's very easy and quick for install, and it's very easy and quick for takeout.
Absolutely.
And more safe. But only for the company, like for Miami, if Miami choose another system, maybe it's 8 months for installation, first time. And after maybe it's 2 months for installation. And TECPRO is 2 weeks, 3 weeks maximum. And for takeout is 1 week.
That's very impressive.
Yeah,
You did say earlier, the weight of the barrier is like 250 pounds or something like that. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We had a question about that. And then David Fox wanted to know, are these barriers safe for motos? You know, bike racing, motorcycle racing.
Tu veux répondre, Raph?
J'ai pas bien entendu.
Est-ce que c'est bon pour les motos?
Of course, we make some crash tests for the motorbike. If I absorb more the energy for the car, I absorb more the energy for the motorbike and for the driver of motorbike. Just we have a barrier special liter for motorbike, but we no use now. But maybe the next step. But of course, in Austin, you have a MotoGP, or you have some race in motorbike, and some moto go on the track. The difference in maybe you see the movie when the motorbike arrive on the protection and the motorbike go behind the protection with the driver. With TECPRO stay in the place. We have a crash in Puerto Rico, and the moto and the driver stay in the same place. It's like I absorb the energy. If I move little, because the motorbike is maybe the driver and the motorbike is maximum 300 kilo, 250.
Yeah.
I don't know in pound. And of course, my barrier is 130. It's just to touch the one barrier, ever the half weight to motorbike. And if push little, you have a 3. It's like a 3 times the weight of the motorbike and the driver. And you know the tractor pulling in America. We just put the weight and we stop 1,000 horsepower. And the system is little same. I pull weight on the safe soft weight on the vehicle, motorbike or car. Before, of course, I stop the motorbike before the impact. Because not have enough weight for push all the line. And of course, it's more not safe, is more c'est plus souple.
Soft.
Is more soft because I move little and I'm mattress inside. Foam inside, no? And okay, you touch the foam, and after you push little is for the motorbike is.
All right, let me make sure I understood this and I didn't misunderstand. But what Raphael has just explained is that he can actually almost tune his wall. Y'all can tune your wall to the weight or the amount of energy. You don't have like a, you can take the motorbike and give it a little bit more softness to it, to give it a little bit more give and not make it as hard as you would for a 4,000-pound stock car. Is that what he's saying, Eric?
Yeah, basically that's it. By acting on the tension of the straps into the system. So we're giving more softness to the line when it's motorbike than when it's car.
Very good. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate your time. And Eric, I apologize. I didn't realize you were in Mexico. And at the same time, like I say, I hate we lost you for a little bit, but I think that everybody's got a pretty good understanding right now. And I encourage them to go online and look at your product, look at some of the video stuff that's out there. and appreciate the design of the wall and get a better understanding of how it works. I mean, I think that now even what I saw prior now makes more sense of what I was looking at as far as the system itself is concerned. And I do appreciate that. And like I say, if they're starting to talk about street racing, Francis, which is what we're starting to hear, street racing here in the United States with stock cars. So it sounds to me like this company would be right down the alley to be talking to these cities and the NASCAR or whoever's running street races to get them involved as fast as they can put them up and take them down.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're absolutely right, Jeff. It's a fascinating company. I've known Rafael for 20 something years. I remember basically a barrier for karting, and they are so clever and they have developed their product to such a level. And really, I think Rafael hit it really well. It's like the easiness and how quickly they can install and dismantle on tracks, and that's really a big part of their success. And that's not, I mean, you watch every F1 race, it's a TECPRO Barrier. They're everywhere in the world. And it's started in the south of France, an area which is really lovely there. And they have expanded all across the world. And it's to their credit, and really, really good. And the proof is Eric is at the racetrack in Mexico right now, right, Eric?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they are racers. It's built by racers for racers. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting.
This webinar has been recorded. It will be posted later on our EPARTRADE platform, and we'll distribute it through our newsletter and different channels. Thank you very much for being with us today. We will be back next week, and we're going to be talking dynos, tips and tools to run your dynos with Lightspeed Junior. So thank you very much, and let's go racing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. Fill out your name, email, phone number, and create a secure password. Next, select your business type. Choose supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose racing business if you're looking to find new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose race team if you own or are a member of a professional racing team. Begin typing your company name. We most likely already have your company in our database, which you can select from the drop-down. Then, enter your job title. Choose Claim Company if you'll be editing your company profile. Other members of your company can choose Join Company if they'd like to use EPARTRADE as well. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Click Register Now, and your registration will be submitted for approval. You'll need to confirm your email once it goes through. To keep our platform industry only, you'll be approved shortly after. If we require additional proof of business, we'll reach out. Welcome to EPARTRADE.